I'm going to go over what was said by the wisest minds who lived. Tesla, Steinmetz, Heaviside, Maxwell. Well, how does wireless power induction work? And of course they'll never have an answer for you. Well, so what's fields? Like, well, yeah, but scientists never define a field. They'll start working their way into a circular argumentation where they're like the dog chasing his tail. You say science, you got to think of like some priests in a weird cult, because that's all science is today anyway. It's a bunch of atomists of academia wearing the robes of priests. We're the priests of science. Nothing is true unless we say so. Here's C.P. Steinmetz. Way smarter than you or anybody that you know. Way smarter, especially on fields and electricity. Unfortunately, to a large extent in dealing with the dielectric field, the prehistoric conception of electrostatic charge, the electron on the conductor, still exists, and by its use destroys the analogy between the two components of the electric field, the magnetic and the dielectric. This makes the consideration of dielectric fields unnecessarily complicated. He said this in 1916. I think it was published in 1917. He says flat out there's no such thing as an electron. It's just a concept. There is no such thing as an electron, by the way. If you think that trillions of little electron beads are flowing down the power lines out the back of your house, you're crazy, of course. That's a psychosis. The idea of electricity as the flow of electrons in a conductor was regarded by Oliver Heaviside, again, way more intelligent than you or anybody you know, especially on fields of electricity. He called this a psychosis, and this encouraged Heaviside to begin a series of writings. Here's Dr. Stephen Biller. Electrons as separate, distinct entities does not really exist. They are merely bumps in something called a field. At least he admits he doesn't know what a field is. There cannot be any such thing as an electron. Wireless power induction, which has nothing to do with the flow of electrons, at a distance, you know, it's not the movement of electrons. That has to do with fields, but no branch of science has ever defined a field. None of them have. If you doubt me, you should go look. If you look up the word field, like on Wikipedia, you'll see a nice circular argumentation. Well, field is lines of force. It's a region of influence. Well, a region is not a thing. Saying force is a mere concept. There's no such thing as force. You know? There is no such phenomena as force. Force is not a thing. Force cannot be quantified. Sure you can. You quantify force in joules, watts, volts, and no, that's a nice description and accurate, but force is not a thing. Everything is fields, and fields are not particles. You see, that confounds atomistic minds, and that's all everybody in science is, scientific academia. They are atomists. They are materialists. They think Mother Nature is this crazy broad with a bag of magic particles. Yes, you know, and everything, all interactions are bumping particles. They think gravity is particles. They think, this is a fact. They think what's going on outside of a magnet is the flow of virtual photons. Something that's never been measured, completely arbitrary idea like a unicorn or a leprechaun. There's no such thing as virtual photons or virtual particles flowing out of a magnet. It's completely ridiculous. It's absurd is what it is. Anyway. So there's my little speech on the electron. The wisest minds of electrical field theory have told you there's no such thing as an electron particle. But maybe, just maybe, you think you're smarter than them. It could be the case. You know, I know electrons exist. It's like, okay, so you know more than Tesla, Heaviside, Maxwell, and Steinmetz. Sure you do. Sure you do.